Thank you. Thank you, Eva, for the nice introductions. And I'm really, really happy to be here the second year in a row. So nervous. I'm hoping that this year I can do a good job, just like the first year. No pressure. Okay, I will share my screen. Um, so let me see if I can manage that. Okay. And my slides. Perfect. I hope that everybody can see them. One mention, I might not be able to see the chat, but if you have any kind of questions, please put them there. You can post them also on the Huva application, and I'll ask Eva to help me out with those and speak up. So thank you for joining my presentation about who is afraid of little meetings. This is one of the topics that I noticed most of the people have problems in the last, I don't know, 3-4 years, especially after the pandemic, because even before the pandemic, everybody took meetings like a normal day-to-day business, nothing special about them. But after the pandemic, everybody kind of freaked out about meetings, about having them in a different setup, having them done in a setup where they were not comfortable or they didn't have that much experience and so on. And I started wondering if there is a better way to do meetings, even face to face, even in a virtual world. And that's how I discovered my passion for facilitation. And I discovered a lot of people that are amazing in this area, that can share a lot of information, that can share a lot of knowledge. I'm hoping to be one of those people. And with what I learned from them, I can share with you, and you can go ahead and maybe stop being afraid of little meetings, because maybe you can do better than me. I am still afraid of meetings. I am one of those people that before a meeting that is not one of those recurring ones, if it is a special one that I need to prepare for in advance, I'm afraid that it will be a bad one, that I will not have the results that were expected. And currently, I'm in the role of a project manager. I come from IT. I was a Java developer. Then I've become a Scrum Master, because why not? We can do better than Java developers. And now I'm a project manager. And I need to attend a lot of meetings. I need to facilitate a lot of meetings. Some of them I like, some of them don't. Some are in my power to change, others are not. So I'm hoping that maybe you are also somewhere in the same area as me, because even though there are a lot of meetings that, I don't know, they are imposed on you, and we have this feeling of wasting our times, I'm hoping that you will not become Dilbert and be imposed into a meeting just because they want to waste your time. And that's not the right way. So let's start changing it. Let's start changing the meetings that we facilitate, and maybe others will follow our example and be better at them. Before we go into the topic, I would really like to ask if maybe you can share in the chat what type of meetings are you participating or leading on. Are they face-to-face? Are they hybrid? Are they totally virtual? Are there updates meetings where they can be replaced by an email? Please share. You can use your voice, you can use the chat, so that everybody can hear you.
See what we're having, virtual, hybrid. Nico said virtual, Agnes said hybrid.
Yeah, most of us are having hybrid most of the times, virtual all the types. Yeah. Glad to see that you are having all types of meetings, because we are going to cover all of them. And I'm hoping to bring something new to the table, something that you didn't know. So, independent of what type of meeting that you are having, if it's a hybrid, of if it is face-to-face and so on, I'm hoping that everybody is aware of the fact that all meetings should have a scope. All meetings should have an agenda. All meetings should have a purpose, and that is sent out to the right people. And when I'm saying to the right people, I'm thinking that we shouldn't send invitations to meetings for people that are not going to bring something to the table. There are certain people that need to be aware of meetings, and they can get some meeting minutes at the end, but they are not necessarily important for the meeting. So once you identify the scope and the purpose, try to invite only the right people so that you have the right people for the meetings. Not too many, not too few. During the meeting, we need to be as flexible as possible and to listen to what is happening. As a facilitator, we are bound to create an environment for discussions. We should be able to listen. We should be able to be flexible with the agenda or to see where the discussions are going. Because even though we are keeping an eye on the agenda, and that's really important, especially if you send out one, you need to keep on you need to also be flexible to see where it goes. And maybe it goes too far, or maybe it's not going anywhere. That's why if it goes too far, stop the conversation, propose another place for bringing that topic, put it in a parking lot, and so on. Because it is important for the elements in the agenda to have a next step, to have some sort of uh, action item, to have a conclusion. It's not right to have elements on the agenda that you brought, you discussed, but then left up in the air. That's not the right way to do meetings. And it's creating that that message that the meeting was about nothing, it wasn't important, and so on. And at the end, it would be great if you can send messages or notes, meeting notes, so that everybody is aware of the discussion that happened. Everybody should be aware and on the same page. That's why I'm saying that invite the right people, have the conversations, and then you can inform a larger number of people so that they are aware what was discussed, what decisions were made, so that they can either bring input or just modify their schedules in order to, I don't know, something that was put in the action items. So apart from having these preparations before and during the meetings, what else can we do? Because I'm sure that you know these things, right? You all are aware of it, especially if you are playing in the role of a project manager or Scrum Master, or even sometimes as a simple developer or an expert in your domain. Like I said, what else can we bring to the table? What else can we do to improve? My thought is that in case of a face-to-face meeting, we can stop becoming the dinosaur watching over the window. That means that in face-to-face meetings, we need to make sure that we have the room and that the room is available at the starting time that we propose for the meeting, so that we don't become that dinosaur looking and opening the door to see if the people are still occupying the meeting room, or making sure that at the end of our meeting, we are leaving the meeting room, the conference room, at the right time so that we don't have others knocking on our door saying that we are late. We have to pay attention to that. We don't want to become those people that have to wait with the whole group to get to the clearance in a conference room. We also need to make sure that we have at least a way to put action items right at that time. We need to be able to write, we need to be able to draw, because even if we are all in the same conference room, maybe we have a digital presentation. Everybody has access to it, but action items, important topics that were discussed, agenda elements, have a better impact or a greater impact if they are put on a wall somewhere, put on a whiteboard or a flip chart. It's really important to have this touch. It is something that we lost in the virtual world, and we lost it also in the face-to-face meetings um, in the last, I don't know, in the 2015 or something like that, when digital PowerPoint was introduced at larger scales. People lost touch with writing by hand, drawing, and so on. But if you look over today's desires, is everybody's looking towards visual thinking, visual elements that will create an impact, and people can go outside of the meetings with something, a visual element. If you have meetings, if you have activity, it is better to have activities on them. It's great if you have sticky notes that will help people get engaged, and they can participate by putting notes into a board, notes about what they bring to the topic, decisions that they want to make. So consider having certain activities in order to create engagement. And you can use Post-its, you can use the flip chart, you can use whatever means necessary to get that engagement. It is easier if you have face-to-face meetings to have this type of engagement, easier than in the virtual world, but it needs to be thought of beforehand. We need to think about it so that we bring it to the conference room. We need to bring it with us. We need to put it on the agenda so that everybody knows that we have 5 minutes to think about, I don't know what, put it on the Post-it, and then the Post-it goes on the board. And as, like I said before, time. We should be mindful of the time that we spend on each element of the agenda, to be mindful when we end the meeting, when we start the meeting. A proposal, and that goes for all types of meetings you'll see, is to end the meetings 5 minutes before you think or you plan to end the meeting. That will give people the time to gather their thoughts, move from the conference room to another room where they might have another meeting, or they can go to the bathroom or grab a coffee or a tea or something. Be mindful of the time, but also try to have the meetings at least end a bit earlier than scheduled, so that we have time to leave the room in a condition that was released towards us. In case of totally virtual meetings, something similar like what we have here, probably everybody is home watching. We need to make sure that everybody is aware of the tool that we have to use. Everybody knows how to use them, and they have access to it. I know that in our days, everything is easier to use, but you may run into a client or a stakeholder that is not so, how is it, what's the name? Digital wise. He may not know how to use Skype, or he may not, or he or she may not know how to use Teams or Zoom. They might not have an account. So we need to be prepared for that. We need to have a contingency plan in case something like this happens. As well, we need to have a place where we can gather those feedbacks. We can gather thoughts, topics, and because of the new development post-pandemic, we have so many tools that can be used in order to either gather topics or make meetings more entertaining, or to increase engagement. Because if in the face-to-face meeting you can have post-its and stick them somewhere, in the virtual the post-its don't work that well, but we do have virtual post-its and we can use that. So why not? But we can also use things like Kahoot, or Mentimeter in order to get people engaged in different ways, like answering questions or, I don't know, putting their feedback in a special way. Just think of ways that you can, or tools that you can use in order to make your meetings more engaging. You can use emoticons, maybe to ask people to show you how they are feeling at that moment, to show you how what was the mood that they came into the meetings or with the mood that they are living with. You can use polls in order to make decisions and to ask people to raise their hand in case of a decision. There are different types of elements that you can use in order to make your meetings more engaging, more fun. Um, I uh, I use all of them. I also had, for example, uh, meetings where I use the Mentimeter to gather feedback from everybody, and that was great because the tool is fun and you can always use them. But there is a but. No matter what type of tooling or whatever you want to use, don't expect people, all people, to get engaged. Don't have this expectation beforehand because it may get you a bit upset because not everybody wants to engage. That's why it is great if you can alternate between engagement tools that you use. There are people that think more and they would rather raise their hand and that's it. There are people with visuals that are visual thinkers and they better use GIFs or memes or smiley faces in order to give you a proper answer or to express themselves. Or you can have loudspeaker that want to just raise their voice and speak up. So make sure that whatever tools are you using, you are offering also the possibility of having an alternative. Don't tell them that this is the only thing that we will use in order to, because it might put a damper on people's expectations. And of course, when it comes to hybrid, this is what is most common these days, because even though we have people working from home, we have people that are going into the office and they meet in a meeting room, and then they have the need to connect with somebody either across the town, across the city, across continents, and so on. So hybrid is the most common one. That is why it's the most difficult one to take into account and to prepare for. And I'm saying that because we need to make sure that for hybrid types of work, we make everybody feel included and not just included because we are going to use Teams or Skype or whatever conferencing tool, but we need to offer them the same possibilities of engagement that we offer people face to face or people outside the room. That means that, or what I suggest is to have a meeting room that has this video conferencing tool that is compliant with the tool that you are using on your laptops, and invite everybody from the face-to-face meeting with the laptops on. You can have a big screen with everybody that is remote on their screen, but have everybody that is also face-to-face having these laptops on. You are going to say that, oh my God, Andrea, you are crazy. If you are using the laptops in the face-to-face, that means that we are no longer face-to-face meeting. And you're right, you're not face-to-face meeting. You are using the hybrid way. And you need the laptops in order to have everybody have the same access to the information at the same time. Imagine if you are on the other side and you are seeing on the screen a large number of people around the table and they are chatting, but you cannot hear anything. You don't understand who's speaking. You don't understand who is saying what. They might argue or they might do something without you. You are feeling excluded. That's why if we are having the laptops, I can see you talking because you'll have your camera on if you want to have the camera on. But I know that you are talking. And even though we are using a centralized tool for hearing ourselves, it will be easier for me to understand who is talking. And especially if you have the camera, I can see your lips moving and I can hear you better. It will create at least the feeling that I'm there in the same room with you. And in order to have this feeling of I am there, you are taking me into account, it's great if you have some ground rules about the meetings, like arriving on time, making sure the tools are working, everybody is presented with the agenda, and also maybe create a rule of speech so that everybody can participate. Not only the people in the room can speak, but rather me on the other side of the screen, I can share my thoughts, I can share my ideas, I can speak up if I want to. In most cases, in hybrid types of meetings, the people outside of the meeting room feel a bit excluded, don't feel they have a voice. They don't know how to raise their hand and say something because the facilitator um, doesn't make the effort in including them. So if you are the facilitator of this type of meeting, try to make them as included as possible so they can also share the pain of the little meeting that they are afraid of. Of course, keep notes. This is a general rule. Keep notes as much as possible and use this type of, just like in the virtual world, use tools that will get you engagement. You cannot use the pen and paper anymore because you need virtual tools as well. So use any kind of virtual tools to get engagement, to get people. That's why we also need the laptops for the people in the conference room, so they can also share their thoughts and ideas via those tools. And of course, the polls to raise their hands and so on. It is important. Like I said, hybrid is the most difficult. Imagine if you are the only one remote and everybody is in the same room except you. At one point, if nobody is paying attention to you, you are going to start closing your laptop, getting out, coming in. Nobody is missing you. That's not the right way to participate in a meeting. If you are important, then somebody needs to make the effort to include you into the discussion. So, what do you think about what I thought? Did you know or did you make the conscious effort to have everything like or more from what I said, more than what I said or just what I said until now? Please use the chat to tell me if any of the actions sound like far-fetched, Andrea, you are totally out of your mind, or yes, they seem reasonable. Yes, I already do them. This is great. Nothing new on my side. Please use the chat. I should not look at the chat anymore. I see people leaving. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Especially the ones that are writing an engagement. It is harder when you are just doing the presentation. It is harder to get some sort of an engagement. So while you are writing, I'm all happy and glowing. Thank you. Okay. Apart from everything that I said until now, with the meetings and the preparation, I have to ask if you have considered the group size. Have you ever thought of, okay, I have this meeting. It's not one of my regulars. It's not a daily, it's not a retro, it's not a planning. I have to organize it. It is some sort of a brainstorming or some sort of, I don't know, gathering people to do something. Have you considered the group size? Because it is important. Think of think of meetings where you have large number of people. How can you help them communicate better? How can you make sure that the flow of the conversation goes as smoothly as possible? Not, you can't always do it. Having large group of people in the same room sharing their thoughts about a certain thing is harder to do than when you have a smaller number of people. I'm not saying you shouldn't have meetings with a large number of people, but you need to take precautions because you need to make sure people understand certain rules about when to speak up, what to do if you're saying, okay, guys, let's wrap it up. The discussion went too far. Let's stop and hear everybody or hear from other people in the meeting room. The thought that we put into preparing for a meeting goes from, I have this agenda, and in this agenda, maybe I have some 5 minutes of getting into the topic. I have 30 minutes of discussions, and I have maybe 10 minutes to wrap it up. That's some sort of a schedule. So in those 30 minutes, if you have to include 30 people, that would mean about 1 minute per person to talk. That's not enough. So in order to make sure that this happens, you can include certain structures of discussions, like let's have 5 minutes in pairs, discuss among yourselves this topic, come up with one idea. We come back, we discuss, we present the topics, and the facilitator just reads through them. Then we can go in bigger groups to discuss certain topics. You can vote on the topics and so on. So if you know that you have large number of people, you can't leave a discussion to just run wild. You need to put a structure. So if you have that, consider what you can do. Also, when you have people coming to certain meetings, they have a certain energy level that they are coming. You'll see that you have better engagement with people around 11 a.m. or around maybe 3 p.m. But if you are trying to gather everybody at 9 a.m. or at 5 or 6 p.m., you'll see the energy levels low because people are before coffee, before tea, after dropping off their kids. So they are either low on coffee or they are crazy because their kids made them crazy. So make sure that in the group that you have, the energy levels are more or less the same. Same with at the end of the day. Most of the people at 5 are battery low. There's no point in talking with them. Their mind just doesn't work anymore. So pay attention what type of meetings you put there. Also, if you have meetings that are running for more than half an hour, consider the boredom. The subject might be interesting for like 50% of the people, but the others might be bored by it because they don't engage, because they don't care, because they have something else to do, because it's before lunch or after lunch. So try to notice how their engagement levels is. Because you don't need overexcited people because that will just cite the discussion. You don't need low energy people because they will not get engaged at all. So if you notice, if you start noticing the levels of energy and how they are in the long run in other meetings, you can do something about it because we need to take that into account as well. Same with thinking. Depending on the industry you are in, you may have people that are more visual. You may have people that are more thinking, more thinking than speaking or considering something else. You have people that need something to do with their hands while in the meeting so that they don't get sidetracked. If you are considering this, you are also preparing the meeting accordingly, because there are activities that will influence better the people with visuals, like putting the emoticons or GIFs. You can show graphs and numbers if you know that you are working with CEOs that need those types of information and they are not bored by graphs. Or maybe you are just dropping a ball into the discussion and saying, okay, let's see what you have to say about this topic. If your group is inclined to do that, we need to think, we need to understand the group that we are bringing to the table and what they will accept or they want. And I have an example. I had a group where one person was more a visual type of person. And that is why whenever we met, he needed to draw something. He needed to put elements on a board so that he can grasp the main ideas. That was his thing. Usually he did it for everybody, but it was important for him. In the same group, I had a person who loved to talk a lot. I mean, sometimes you just waited for him to breathe so that you can step in and say something. For that person, we instigated the rule of Matt, that's it. And whenever he heard Matt, that's it, he stopped talking. And we asked him to put his thoughts in writing so that we have time later on to understand what he was saying. But at the same time, we had in the same group, because I had an amazing group, somebody from business that was all about the numbers. Whenever he came into the meetings, he was like, okay, so basically what does this is going to cost me? That was all he cared about. So imagine a group of people, one talking about whatever. It was important for the subject. It's just that after 5 minutes of blabbing, you're like, I cannot take it anymore. We have one person trying to put some visuals into whatever the others were talking, and then somebody asking, okay, so what's the final number? Give me a number. It was hard. So for that type of group, thoughts and elements were brought into different meetings, or we separated them, depending on if there is a possibility to separate them. Consider this. Oh, okay. Then activities, like I said, we should bring engagement in certain meetings. There are meetings where you have 2-3 people talking. They are into the subject. They want to bring a solution, and then there are crickets. In order to get the crickets with you and into the topic, you should get some activities that will help reach decisions. You should have activities like round robin to get them involved. If possible, get subjects or answers from them. Raise your hand if you are agreeing with that. All types of activities help get engagement. And of course, as facilitators, it is important that you know how to control the room. It's not going to work from the first. It's going to take some time, especially if you are always bringing new people into the room. I noticed along the years that if I go and prepare for a meeting with people I don't know, the control is slim. Sometimes is less than 10% of what I could do with people that I know. And in that cases, it's better to just let it be. Don't get frustrated. I'm not saying you cannot do better, but even if the control in the room is you are losing it, it doesn't mean that you are doing something bad. It just means that you are not prepared for this type of group. So don't get scared. Just prepare better next time. Think of what happened into that meeting that went out of the normal way. Think of how you can do what you can do in order to maintain some control over it. There might be conflicts appearing, there might be discussions derailed. If in time you learn to notice those things and raise your hand. It happened, for example, that I had to just put a stop to a meeting because the conflict went from I'm not agreeing with you to raise voices, getting up and saying mean things. So when you start to hear some conflict or you hear a voice raised, then uh, try to uh, try to make a break. Tell everybody to have 5 minutes of break, and we'll come back with the subject. Thank you, Eva, for the timing. It is important to have that. So basically, at the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves, can a meeting be an email? And if yes, let it be an email. I'm sure everybody went to certain meetings. I have 2 meetings that could be an email, but we want to listen to our lovely voices, therefore we meet every week for those meetings. Follow the agenda as much as possible, even if you are flexible with the topics, try to follow it as much as possible. And if you don't reach all the elements in the agenda, just point it out at the end, say that we need to regroup and come back to the other topics that were left untalked about. Get action item as much as possible, because if you don't have at least one action item, the feeling of wasting your time gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Get participants engaged, tools, any kind of tools, any kind of activities that you can think of. There are so many out there that you can use from. And ask open questions. It's something that I don't know how to do, but maybe, but I'm learning. It is one of those things that psychologists do, therapists are doing, and I hate them. That's why, or not hate them, don't like the idea of them. I hate open questions, but they are important. So get some, prepare 1 or 2 in advance. I have like a list. I got a list from somebody. I have 20 open questions, types of questions. It's really hard to say them. But, and if you are managing to do this, you are golden. I'm sure that some of my examples you already implemented, maybe not all of them, but I'm sure that you are good. You just can get better with a little help. Thank you all. You can find me on LinkedIn. Please don't forget to offer the feedback. Just like Eva said, there is the form from the conference. It would be great to see what I missed or what I can do better in my next presentation. If you have questions, share them either in the on the chat or I don't know, on the Huva application.
Thank you so much, Andrea. We do have a question. Yedra asked, please share these 20 type of questions if you can.
I will look for them. They are in an email and I'll share them.
Okay, do we have more questions? Maybe someone can unmute themselves if they have something, even to say by voice.
I was actually listening, and when you mentioned those 2 cursed meetings that could be an email, do you think that there is a chance that they give some other value to the team or to people who are participating in them, other than just sharing information?
I think it is easy. I think they are easier to an easier way to gather information rather than reading the emails. Because if you consider, for example, in the meetings that I have, there are usually updates. We all look at the same graph. We all update previously the information in that Excel file. So the informations are there, but the need to have follow-up questions or to have maybe a better understanding is greater than just spending time reading an email. I think it's just a need to connect that is bigger than sending an email. So that's the added value. We connect, we share the same input. It's just that I don't see a value because sometimes I don't need to connect with certain people. But above me, people feel the need to connect and gather certain information.
That's one of the ways I tell myself that I will come just, like I can read quite well, faster
Yes,
than other people speak sometimes.
I know.
Yeah, it's good to hear that I'm not the only one.
No, I don't think you're the only one. To be honest, there is a technical meeting, for example, where I don't bring that much to the table because I'm not on the technical side. I can only tell them that yes, we planned or not, we didn't plan for it. So in that meeting, I feel totally useless because I can tell them once I see what they discussed, I can tell them yes, it's planned or not, it's not planned. But apparently, I need to be there because they want to listen to my lovely voice saying, yes, it will be planned, or no, it's not going to be planned.
It's a sharing. I see that Enrico turned on his.
Yeah, I wanted to
There is
ask
somebody
something
talking
before.
that is on mute. Enrico Aneda.
Am I like? Can you?
Yeah,
you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you.
I cannot hear you.
Okay.
I don't know.
I also can.
Wait, let's try again. Can you hear me now?
Is it just me
Yes,
not
no.
hearing him?
Oh. Okay. Well.
It's the weirdest thing ever.
Okay, so it's just me. Can somebody type in? I don't know.
Enrico is typing the question.
Yeah, I'm like...
Yes. There is one. Okay, it's just me then. I'm sorry. I heard the question. So there, Remote Forever is doing some workshops regarding facilitation skills. Malud Cecarelli is the person that I personally love her style and love her workshops. And there is somebody else, Island Inspiration or something like that is the name. I have to check the name. They have Tricia Covers or something like that is the name. I'm bad at this. I'm sorry. I'm bad at facilitate. Tricia Conyers is Island Inspirations is the company. Tricia Conyers is her name. She usually does, and Tricia, for example, is specialized in planning your meetings accordingly, thinking of group size, thinking of dynamics, thinking of ways of thinking, levels of energy. She has a great training regarding 9 dimensions of meetings. So you can use that. I'll put her name, and I think everybody knows Mulut Cecarelli if you are into the topic of facilitation. These are the two workshops that I would suggest. You're welcome. We are on time.
Thank you so much, even though you can hear me.
Yay!
Perfect time management today.
If you have more questions, you can share them on the Whova application. I will read, and I'll try to find my list of 20 open questions and share them there for everyone. Thank you all, and great to see you.